still looking for respect nationwide.
What is going on, Sooner Nation? Thank you all for tuning into another episode of the Barry and Mack Show. As always, myself, Barry, personal trainer and sports performance coach out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. And alongside me tonight, former Sooner wide receiver, 2000 national champ. Barely get through it. Mr. Damian Mackey. How are we doing tonight, D-Mac?
I was on Twitter. Was it Twitter? I think I was on Twitter, man. And they had the old, you see the Simpson memes going around where they had Grandpa Simpson sitting around with all the kids. And they had the meme where he was talking about once upon a time, Oklahoma used to be the big bad wolf and we were physical and winning championships. Yesteryear, man. There's a term for that. It's called yesteryear. Today is today. And man, we look terrible. A lot to talk about today. Today's not going to be another X's and O's. If you saw my 10, I posted my 10 thoughts early. And by the way, I didn't do 10 thoughts. I did 5 issues with 5 solutions. Like, we've got a lot of problems, a lot of fires we got to put out. It didn't make sense to talk a lot about position groups at this point in time. We've got problems. We've got big problems, concrete, fundamental, monumental problems that we need to address. And so spend time on that. I'm gonna record it. We'll see. I may post it on Twitter and give it to you to post on YouTube. But yeah, today was not fun.
Yeah, it was not. Watched the whole thing on the old screen back here in the game room. I'm doing yard work a lot today, so I'm a touch under the weather. The allergies are kicking me. I'm about to take this Benadryl, which it looked like that's what OU's offense took before the start of the game. And I got some stats that I'll run past you guys here in just a second. But first, I want to remind everybody, show is presented by OU Insider, OUinsider.com. Go over there, grab yourself a membership. Brandon Parker and the gang, even in a season of pure indifference at this point towards the offense, they are still bringing you guys the goods. All of the field level content that they shoot, that they make available on YouTube, all of the articles by Jesse and Brian, everyone just does a phenomenal job over there. D-Mac doing the 10 thoughts and then just engaging with the board. A lot of people over on Twitter were speaking about OU Insider today and just some of the content that's been over there as of late. But D-Mac, this offense, OU, let's just kind of recap the game, if you will. Not that it needs much recapping, and I'll run through that, then just get your thoughts. It started as bad as it could. Opening play, Hawkins throws an interception.
It was the first play?
It was the first play of the game. They've got 10 out there. Everybody's like, use names. Nope, not today. 10 was to try. 10 was trying to block one of the best defensive line players in college football. I saw a comment on Twitter right before hopping on. It said it said a sturdy T-post would have done a better job. Would have done a better job. It was awful, man. But just a rough day at the office. OU goes down 21-0. You had 2 of the turnovers were defensive touchdowns, which D-Mac, you football guy, you know the stats. You're not going to win the game if you allow 2 defensive touchdowns. It's just not going to happen. OU's down 21-0, down 24 to 0 or 3 at half. It was actually might have been 3 at half. Can't remember when that field goal came. It was 24-0.
32
oh, that's right.
3 at half.
That's right. It was 32-3. And then they missed the field goal. So 32-3. Jackson had come in.
They ran a fake. They ran a fake field goal to end the half.
That's right. Yeah. They OU got no help from special teams. Had the fake punt that resulted in the touchdown there on their side of the field. Just felt like a horrible time to run a fake punt. Then Jackson comes in, and there were some good things that he did, right? That you saw the talent. We talked a little pre-show. We don't know how this season is going to turn out, but Jackson may go somewhere and have some success. He's a good quarterback. He was a top-rated quarterback for a reason. Hawkins, the same thing. We'll talk about maybe why there is such an issue with these guys getting into their rhythm and filling the game out. But Jackson did not play bad. We saw the inaugural reception of number 88. We got a Drake Stoops clone rocking a different. And I'll say this: looks like the best receiver I have seen on Bucks. He does a lot of the things that Raggins doesn't do yet. Get his feet down, get his head around, is aware of angles, decisive with his cuts, catches the ball with his hands immediately. Like he does a lot of the things that good movers in the open field do that a guy like Raggins just is not there yet. So it makes you wonder why he hadn't played. Obviously, he's a walk-on, but he had scholarship offers from multiple FBS schools. So maybe that's a good pickup by Oklahoma. They've given him enough of a shot. Now we'll see what happens. But DMAC, I just want to get your thoughts. That again, we're not going X's and O's, but I want to know what you think at this point in the season. Not what might. What do you think needs to happen for Oklahoma to get any kind of footing offensively and do major drastic changes need to happen at this point of the season for Venables to still maintain this where he's at in terms of just head coach, not necessarily on the hot seat yet, but obviously there's a lot of pressure going. What's got to occur?
Yeah, I mean, you look at the season, uh, you know, game to game, and then you look at it season long. And I think the scariest thing for me, and I think I speak for the Sooner Nation when I say this, is it doesn't look like it's getting better. In fact, it looks like it's getting worse. I made a comment, and I'm sure someone's gonna mix this up, but both of our quarterbacks suck in this system, but both of our
Mhm.
quarterbacks are talented players. And so I think that speaks to the system, which system speaks to the coaches, and coaches speak to the schemes, and schemes speak to the foundation of what you're doing. And there it is, right? So when you look at this thing at its core, I see a lot of people, it's funny, by the way. I'm probably not going to make no friends with my alumni buddies. A lot of my buddies are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and saying the coaches are not the problem. The players are the problem. Nah, bro. No, when you can't even line up correctly and block a 4 or 5 man, stunt, that's not the players. If you've got 5 different groups of offensive linemen who can be successful, that's not the players. And if those players are all your guys, who recruited them and who coached them up, right? We've had some turnover on the staff, and we've got a new OC in here. But guess what? The old line coach has been here for the better part of 10 years. Every kid on that offensive line is someone he recruited, coached, developed, wanted, portal, transferred in, and a lot of guys transferred out. You can't put that on players. It's a coach's job to make sure his position group is that the deck is stacked, especially at a place like OU. I can
And
say the
can you
same
put
thing
that
about
on
running.
Riley anymore too? Can you put he's 3 years out of Riley? Can you put
Um,
because that's what people will say is that
listen,
Riley affected the
listen.
numbers.
Here's what watch this. I could put stunts on Riley. I could put Bowman on Riley. Does that make sense? Like these are the quote unquote
Yeah.
all Americans. Those are guys that were recruited by Grinch and Riley, and I would say they are probably overrated in some regard, but they're also good players. You can't put any offensive lineman on Riley. Beat and Bo is here for both. Every kid that Beat and Bo has is a kid he liked, recruited, developed, coached up. Like those are his kids. DeMarco
Mhm.
Murray has been here for both. Every kid in that running back room are guys that he recruited, developed. And we're not saying they're bad players, but whatever his philosophy is for getting the most out of players just seems to me like it ain't working. Right? I said this. Seth has to play with the cards he's dealt, but Murray and Beat and Bo have to own them. Like they're your guys. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
to use that same kind of correlation, how is it that BV and the defensive coaches can take a Downs and you can see improvement. Can take a Danny and Danny, you know what I'm saying, accelerated to a guy
Yeah.
who, again, he's overrated, but he's a really good college ball player. Billy Bowman, he's overrated, but he's a guy who's serviceable at minimum at his position. Um, here BV comes in and inherits these guys, and they improve. Beaton Bowl is playing with his guys. It's a different scheme, but it's all his guys. And it's not like he doesn't know the plan. Whatever the plan is, which I don't know the plan. I don't know that many people in America know the plan, but those coaches know the plan. They come in on
Yeah.
Saturday like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. And although the first play we throw a pick. By the way, I was working the very first quarter. True story. Training 158. No, we had 125 agents. I'm doing like a all day intensive. I intentionally
Oh yeah.
put my components in training at the very beginning because I wanted to be able to analyze the game. So I didn't watch the first quarter. Bro, I turned the damn TV. I'm like, 21. What the fudge happened? I'm like, oh my God.
That's hilarious.
By the way, they're like, oh, Jackson Arnold's coming in. Da, 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 da. And so,
Oh
yeah, man.
man.
And then so we like score. I'm like, oh man, I'm the good luck charm. You know what I'm saying? Like I turned the
Oh,
game
let's
on.
go.
I'm one of those
Must have been
superstitious
me.
guys. Like I get
Yeah, yeah,
superstitious,
yeah.
right? And then we suck ass. I'm like, oh damn. But no,
Must have been
um,
you.
Barry, I look at us and you can't in a rational mind not say coaches have to be held accountable for what's happened. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like this supersedes, like, if you personally want to pass judgment to the players because you happen to wear the uniform 5, 10, 20, however many years ago, like you are being illogical. You know what I'm saying? We've scored. We just looked this up, guys. We've scored 4 offensive touchdowns in SEC play. 4.
Yeah.
1 out of 5 of our touchdowns, 20% of our touchdowns are defensive. Like that is offensive for that to be the case. Barry's gonna throw some numbers at you guys that
Yeah.
are gonna bring you back to some yesteryears. But
Yeah.
you can't. There's no logical way to say coaches haven't and aren't responsible for what's happening. Hell yeah, players are responsible. Hell yeah, they got to deal with the fact that they suck. I remember my freshman year and we were 5-6. And by the way, I hadn't been on a suckage team. Like I came from a high school program where we played for championships. Pee wee football, we played for championships. You know what I'm saying? Middle school ball, all that stuff. We have ballers. So my freshman year, even though I didn't touch the field, I think I wore my jersey one game. I was like, we suck. And we were 5-6. And we had Damon Parker. And you know what I'm saying? Like DP could go get you 200
He,
any
he he
game.
can
Like
play. Oh yeah.
he'll light up
He
the
can play.
scoreboard on them. We just didn't have a quarterback, and our offensive coordinator, holy freaking moly, Joe Dickinson. By the way, Joe, hopefully you're listening to this. I'm sorry, bro, but you were terrible. You were trash as an OC. Sam Pittman was our O line coach, our
They
coach. Go
talked about
figure,
that
right?
today. Pittman
Sam
and
Pittman
Rex
was
Ryan on the
Rex
same
Ryan was the
coaching staff.
DC baby. Yeah, man, they have some pretty good coaches on the team. So I we gotta call a spade a spade. If I'm Joe C, I walk into BV's office and I say, look, man, I love you. Here's the deal. I'm telling you now because I want you to be prepared. Between now and the end of the season, you got to figure out which 1 or 2 offensive coaches you want to keep. The rest are gone.
Gone.
I'm gonna go out and hire the best offensive coordinator I can, the most innovative and alpha, very clear, concrete picture. I'm gonna let you continue to focus on this defense. We're gonna put somebody in place who wants to be a head ball coach in the next 2 to 3 years. I'm telling you this now. We're gonna go find that guru who wants to use this as a stepping stone to being the next coach at an Oregon or being the next coach at a Florida. And they got their stuff. BV, you be the CEO and make sure the defense is stone cold. All right. But if this OC comes in here and says, I don't want any of these coaches, I am going to give him permission to veto your choice because we need to win. And I don't want to have to fire you. I think you're a key cog. I think you're a great man. I think you're a leader. We're going to figure this thing out together. This is what my conversation would be. Remember last week I
Yeah.
was talking about BV having conversations with Seth and Seth having conversations. Guys, we're so past that. Our
Yeah.
offensive line, I don't give a damn what Coach Beatonbow did 5 years ago, 3. I don't care who went in the first round. The offensive line I saw today, by the way, let alone Texas, but today it
Yeah.
was absolutely atrocious. I don't like to hate on players, but 58, we talked about 58 for 5 minutes the Temple game. And you know what I
Yeah.
noticed happened after the Temple game? We didn't see him anymore. Whatever the stuff is
Ever.
that we saw, coach saw, and they sat him on the bench. What
Yep.
gave them the idea? What was the audacity? It had to be 3 injuries or something, because for a guy, he's just not good enough to play at the school. He's just not good enough to play against SEC caliber players. By
He
the
is
way,
not a Power 5 tackle. That's
Temple
just what it
kicked
is.
his ass.
Yeah.
Temple did. And I hate to
Yeah.
sing out a kid, but we got problems,
But he's
Barry.
not good.
You say what?
He's not good.
He's not good enough to play at OU.
Not
And
at
every team
OU.
that plays against him, it's really bad. So, the offensive staff, I think they kind of know the writings on the wall. Listen, I'll tell you this. I'm not saying nothing that a whole bunch of alumni ain't texting. I promise you that. If I'm speaking, I ain't speaking just for Damian.
Yeah.
I'm speaking for a whole bunch of text messages that I get and a whole bunch of DMs that I get. People are concerned. People who love OU are concerned. People
Mhm.
who want Coach V to win are concerned. People who want Seth to win are concerned. People who want some of these guys, I said this in my 10 thoughts. Hell yeah, I am biased to OU. You mother sucking right, I am. I want OU to win. I want my coaches that played at OU to win. I want alumni
Yep.
that were there to win. But guys, dang it, I don't want them to suck for the sake of us having guys who played at OU. We were sad when John Blake left in 98, Sooner alum, Dallas
Mm,
Super Bowl champion, black dude who cared for the guys, right? Coach Blake had a lot of attributes that we liked. Guess what OU did to go win a ship? They went outside the walls. They brought in a
yeah.
young Bob Stoops, a hungry DC from Florida, who got his chops in K State under the guise of Snyder, right? A guy who came who was hard nosed. And guess what happened to our team in 1.5 seasons? We were the hardest damn team in college football. I'm watching Georgia Texas tonight. And I just was like, go back and watch Oklahoma 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003.
Yep.
Stop at 2000. Stop at 2003. Stop at 2003. But go watch those teams. Offense, defense, special teams. We played hard.
Same
You would
vibe.
not out
Same
hit
vibe.
us. You would not out. Nobody could out hit us. And we were playing against some tough mother suckers. They weren't gonna out hit us. And I'm watching Georgia, Texas, and I'm watching South Carolina, Bama last week. I'm watching LSU, Ole Miss last week. Guys, we are not prepared to play in those games. I
Mhm.
picked us to lose this game because I saw South Carolina play LSU, I think week 2 or 3, and I said, "Oh man, they playing a whole other brand of football." So when I look at our team and I look at the makeup of our team and the chemistry and and all the ingredients that make whatever the hell dishes that we are, we're like chunky soup, Campbell soup, playing against folk who are New England clam chowder or escargot or something. Like, they a whole different caliber class league than us. We are like the generic version, the soft version, right, of what the SEC is. We're not physical enough to even play. Their backers hit our running backs, they fall backwards. Their running backs hit our linebackers, they fall forward. That is a
Mhm.
microcosm of what is happening. And we need drastic changes, man. And I don't think it's a BV situation. The defense is probably the best we've seen in 2 decades, literally. There's
Yeah.
there's some there are a couple years where we've had some, pretty decent defenses, but our defense is consistently put in bad situations,
It's
and more often than not,
legitimate.
they play well. Yeah.
This could have
BV.
easily been 660-0 with the other defenses of yesteryear.
Oh, it would have been 70. And Beamer was trying to run it up. Beamer runs a fake
Oh, Beamer
field goal the
was
last
going for
play of the
blood.
half. Are
He
you
was
kidding
coming
me?
for
Talking
blood,
about
man.
talking about I love these guys. I named my dog Boomer Beamer. What?
Whatever.
He named his dog Boomer Beamer. And then, I mean, he listen, he was trying
Oh,
to
man.
he was trying to send a
Whew.
message to Oklahoma.
Yeah.
By the way, salute to him. 60 minutes. He's got
Yeah.
every opportunity to do that.
Balled out.
Barry, we've got big problems. We can kind of address them more symptomatically here over the course of this call or the course of this pod, but just from a very large, from a macro lens, I look at our team. We need to change. Half the kids. Dang, I'm just throwing hot takes out here. Half the kids who want a
Get it?
portal, we should let them leave. We should let them leave. Half the dudes who think they're studs and got a bunch of time, you probably should leave. There's a lot of guys in this in the program who feel like they are better than they are. It's a lot of guys in this program who gonna get a cup of coffee because they got an OU on their helmet and they not gonna stick because they don't know how to play the game. They're not physical enough for the game. They're not smart enough for the game. They don't understand the angles of the game. They don't understand, how to be mentally tough in this sport. This is a smart man's game in 2024, and we don't got a lot of guys who show that they're smart. That little puppy playing corner, a dog,
Oh,
bona
Eli.
fide dog.
That's
That
yeah.
puppy playing the
He's
zero
legit.
technique. Do you see that puppy playing the zero?
Him and
He's gonna
Stone.
play.
Stone whipped some ass today, by the way, too.
He had a couple good plays. He did. I'm not gonna take away from him, but he's not playing down in, down out versus, what I'm
No,
saying,
not like
junkyard
65.
dogs
Not
like
like Xavier.
65.
Yeah,
65 is playing 40, 50, 60 snaps a game and is
he is
every
legit.
possession in the other team's backfield. He's sniffing things out. He's understanding when they're trying to get things done. Not to take anything away from Stone. The
No,
talent is
and by
there.
the way, what a waste for 56. Grayson Halton has had himself a year
He had a decent
thus
game too.
far. Yeah. Like it's just you've got all these guys, man, who are defensively having really solid years. And in any other year with any other offense, this team is right in the thick of it.
Man, Levy's offense were probably 2 wins better.
Yeah.
Levy's offense were probably, but Levy, but Levy's an offensive lineman. He probably had some input on what was going on and could say some things to B&B versus now. I don't know how anybody could event. I don't know beat him bull like that. I know he's got chops and he's done a great job for us. 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. There's no defending his offensive line this year. There's no defending it. I can't think of a reason to justify saying we need to give him a mulligan. It is an abomination. Our offensive line won't even give our quarterbacks the time to make 2 reads. They aren't smart enough. They can't exchange defenders. If they run a stunt, we're screwed. If they bring 5 late, we're screwed. If they bring an outside dog off the alley, a safety or anything like that, we don't satellite, we don't radio. Our running backs don't see it. Like all of our blocking assignments, that is an indictment on 2 people, Beatonbow and my fullback.
Yeah.
And it's just the truth.
Yeah, I said something on Twitter today that, I'm just thinking about practically speaking what's going on. It's so easy to like generalize the thing, but sometimes it's a good thought experiment of thinking like what's going on week to week that is inhibiting the growth of the team, that is inhibiting them from being able to have any success. And I think Venable's hand at this point in the year is forced, where he's going to have to make significant offensive changes. Probably will not make them midseason, even though fans want him to. I think fans want to see that spark. But man, I was when it comes to running a program or any organization, you've got to have guys who know what they're doing, but who also sometimes are, and this is what you run into at times when you bring in alumni, especially alumni or people you are close to, who maybe a Levy just got done having some pretty good success with Ole Miss. He's coming off of really seeing what Kiffin did, so he knew how to properly structure a practice. He brought his stuff in, right? He brought in what they were doing, and he was able to create some success in a couple seasons. If Latrell hangs in there for one more year, he probably does better next year, being able to get in a full off season of his stuff, right? Quote unquote, being able to get his stuff in. But
What's his stuff?
some, that's well,
Oh, better yet. What does Joe John even do?
yeah.
Does he coach tight ends? Because if he does, he sucks at that job. Like, what does Joe John do?
And
By
that,
the way,
it,
what does he do?
yeah.
Is that
Did you
mean to
see him
say,
go up
or
to
am
the
I telling
booth?
the truth?
Did
Barry, am
you see
I
him go
being
up
an
to the booth?
asshole or am I telling the truth? Like, I want to know,
It's the
am
truth.
I
It's the
being an
truth.
asshole? Because you know why? Let me say that. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
Go
everybody
for it,
told
man.
me how terrible John Blake was. They told me how terrible he was, and I was in that locker room, and I didn't think he was terrible. He had some terrible coaches, but I didn't think it was terrible. But you know what?
Mhm.
The proof on the field said he doesn't merit to keep the job at OU. So
Yeah.
we look at positions. Joe Johns, and I think Joe John played for the 49ers. I'm pretty sure he did. I'm pretty sure he
Oh,
played for the
yeah.
Niners for a year or two. But like, does he coach tight ends? Because if who coaches tight ends? Who coaches tight ends?
It's Joe John.
I know who coaches tight ends. I'm asking who coaches them though. Who is coaching them? Who is coaching? I know who coaches them. It's not good.
It's
It's
not
not
good. It's not
good.
good.
But no, it sucks. It's terrible. It's atrocious. The scheme is bad to have a tight end have to block a defensive end, especially an NFL dude. The execution on the field is terrible, right? I mean, like, and then like all this, I remember the first game, I was like, hey man, who's 10? He's kind of nice. And you were like, oh, that's
Yeah.
Bauer Sharp. Da, 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 da. I said, oh, he's got two
Yeah.
first names or two last names. Bauer. Like that, he's clearly lost all confidence. He's dropping perfect passes. Um, that's
Which he
coaching.
didn't look like that at the other level. He
He,
played
he
he played well.
he didn't look like that against Temple. And so all I gotta say is, man, like at the end of the day, the sword somebody gotta fall on the sword. OU
Oh,
doesn't
yeah.
give these type of passes. This ain't no mulligan season. You don't get mulligan season was year one when Link took Caleb. Mulligan. Everybody was
100%.
like, hey, we'll give you a pass. Mulligan. We are year three, Beatonbow. We are year three, DeMarco. We are year three, Joe John. We are year three. We're year three. We were
Yeah.
on Miguel's behind. Miguel's getting better. His guys are getting better. We're seeing some quality there. By the way, 34 looked all right today. He looked
Yeah.
all right against
They've
Texas.
gotten
He looked
better.
all right. He's getting better.
They've all
We're
gotten
getting
better.
worse on offense. The only guy not getting worse is Barnes. Barnes isn't getting worse, but Barnes is who he is. Let me not make fun. Let me stop.
He
Let me
is who he
stop. Let me
is.
not be.
Yeah,
Let me not be mean.
I think what they're gonna have to do is bring in either brand new position coaches or bring in a new OC at this point. And I almost think, and this is just my opinion on this, Stoops had success when he went, and you kind of alluded to it. Stoops had success when he said, I'm going to bring in a guy who has a way that he does things, who has a way that he already has the structure. I am a defensive coach, just from Stoops' perspective. I am going to let him coach the offense, period. Because right now, guys not knowing their jobs, not knowing their assignments, not having a structured game plan, not being able to identify things in game, that is all coaching during the week. Players not getting better, that is all coaching during the week. I've said this. I am a person who works with people all the time who have to change what they are physically doing in order to improve themselves, right? And I'm currently working with a player who works for who plays for TU, basically NIL, basically works. And there are some things that we are doing in order to improve some of his attributes. But you as a coach have to be able to identify the thing that that player needs and then have the right stuff, the right recipe to coach that up. And then you have to be able to measure that success some way. You have to have some type of KPI, some type of indicator that says you're doing a good job. And so far, all the KPIs, you're right, it says they suck and it's not good. At running back, it is consistently the same stuff, right? I'm tired of Barnes is the best blocker, but Sawchuk is not all there's cracked up to be as a blocker, right? When Gundy was coaching the running backs, every running back, you might have had one or two guys who might have been undersized, but
Finch.
every single one of those backs, D Mac, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, was not afraid to stick their nose in and whip some ass blocking someone.
They
And
couldn't play.
the tech
He wouldn't let him play. You couldn't play. That was a prerequisite to play running back at OU. If you can't block, you will not get your ass off the bench. And every running back knew it, and every running back bought into it. Just like our
and
receiver.
they
If
bought
you
in.
aren't,
Yes.
you're not gonna block, you ain't playing. Period.
Mm.
All positions. If you ain't blocking, you ain't playing. Yeah, yeah. I'm sorry, bro. I'm gonna interrupt you. Go ahead.
100%.
You
Go
cook.
ahead. Well,
You cooking right
I
now.
wanted to get confirmation on that
Yeah,
because
yeah, yeah,
right
yeah.
now
That's
you
that's
got one back. You have one back who can do it. You had Tawi who wasn't fully bought in, or they said he wasn't fully bought
So
in on that end.
can I pause you? Did you see that?
Go for it.
So someone posted a top. Did you see the Tawi quote? Not the his stats. There was a quote. Somebody asked Tawi Walker about OU, and he said in his quote, he articulated exactly what we see. He said on any given week, there was no rhyme or reason who the guy was gonna be. There was no identified you're a one, you're a two, which is crazy to me because when I played, that was the whole psychology. It was like Mackey, you know, I always felt like I never wanted to be a two. By the way, two's
Hmm.
traveled, two might play.
Yeah.
Like I was going to be in that first five because I wanted to be in every game. I wanted to be in the mix, right?
Sure.
And I'm listening. By the way, I know DeMarco came up in that environment. I know he did because I know he played for Gundy. But I'm listening. I'm like, damn, Tywee, he literally says there's a quote. And someone posted on social media. I said, can you source this? Because as if this is real, I'm going to bring this up. Guys, that is such a big problem. I said this hypothetically. I said, Barry, I think a week or two ago, I said, Barry, I couldn't
Yeah.
imagine practicing as hard as we're asked to practice and not know if I'm going to play. Oh, I will be so pissed off. Or I have
Yeah.
a great game and then for whatever reason, I'm a 2 or 3. And you guys might say, like, that's not true. That doesn't happen. It didn't happen to Tawi all year last year. All year he played well, and the next week something had to go wrong before he got a chance to play again.
Every game.
That is psychological warfare. I also want to digress and speak to something else you said. You said Bob came, and when he came, he brought a guru with him who had his own scheme. Bob was in film with us. 99 season and really even some in 2000 learning the offense. He was doing it for 2 reasons. Reason number one is because he knew Leach wasn't going to stick around forever. Leach was a guy who was on the come up. And I was saying this in my 10 thoughts like, we need to go get an OC who wants to be at HBC and give him the opportunity to do so and honor him and let him honor us and fix us. And we need to incubate his heir apparent. When Leach was doing that, Bob was learning his system so that we could take the Chuck Longs, the Manginos, the Spurriers, and learn his stuff. But Bob also did it because Kentucky kicked his defense's ass. Kentucky
Mm-hmm.
kicked his defense's ass a year or two prior, and he knew that that defense would be one that could help turn Oklahoma's offense around quickly because he did it with Leach did it with inferior talent. He had an NFL caliber quarterback. Tim Couch, I believe, was a QB's name at the
Yeah.
time, who
Couch
was
was
a
good.
quarterback
Yep.
at Kentucky, right? He had some solid receivers, but they didn't have the athletic talent level that Florida had when they have Freak and the rest of those guys on that defense. They had a scheme that had a purpose, it had an identity. Players knew what to do before the snap, players knew what to do at the snap, players knew what to do after the snap. And the big red flag, what's the kid's name? What's 88's name? What's his name?
Jacobs. Jordan. I think it's Jordan Jacobs.
Shout out to 88. How is it that he's wide open? What is he
Mm,
doing that the other receivers aren't doing that makes him wide open? Kid understands defense. Kid is
100%.
it's clear to me at pre-snap he has a plan. It's clear to me at the snap of the ball he knows what defense they're in. He knows where they're going to be. He runs where they're not going to be. Guys, that's football. That he is an example of what we've been talking about all year. Like, man, the game is designed for you to see coverage, know where blockers are going to be, where wrestlers are going to be, where zones are going to be set up, and run where they're not. And you could see that he and Jackson had some type of chemistry. Guys, we haven't seen receivers that wide open all season.
Even
This look,
8. Like, so Tatum, this is just the presence of mind in the game, and it stands out because you don't see Barnes or Chuck do it. The eight's running. I don't know if I think it was just a leak out. I don't think it was designed to be a wheel route. Maybe but it's where Arnold ends up finding him for the first down on the pass. As soon as he feels that he is open, DMAC, he almost feels a little too open. He's looking back for the ball, and he is ready for that thing. There's no surprise. It is just awareness. And yes, he had the fumble against Texas, but he does things with the ball that we've said all year that nobody else does. Not even in the same ballpark, not even in the same stratosphere with movement, how he sets up blocks, how he understands where he is on the field. These are things that if you can have elite guys arrive that you got to coach it up, and some guys just have it, or I'll say it too, you can coach it out of a guy as well. You can get a guy so muddied up in his thinking, so many cues, so much going on. You don't know. Some coaches, DMAC, just do not know how to simplify the process enough to make it easy for a guy to get. And they don't know how to explain it to the point where guys can easily understand it and not think. We see it on defense. Venable's defense is more complicated than what Grinch ran.
Yeah.
Everybody has said that. Significantly more. How is it that the same players are able to understand it?
Time
Because
out. Time out.
go ahead.
Peyton did Peyton didn't carry a damn seam route today, and they got a touchdown. He literally touches the guy, and he just didn't carry him. Pisses me off.
Yeah.
That's a mental bust. You're right. That's not
Yeah.
defensive scheme, but like all he has to do is carry the guy. Just run with the guy, and it's definitely not a touchdown. But the guy walks in the end zone, and then Peyton looks behind him like there's something like, bro, that's your guy. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah, that was
you were the safety in that position. Hey, somebody asked a question, and P.
yeah, go.
I'm blind as
See if I
hell.
can find it.
PSS. He says in addition to
On
the old
the
staff,
super
there's
on the
all you can
super
say.
chat, yes.
Oh, yo, yo, he must have read my 10 thoughts. You read my 10 thoughts, didn't you? I said one of our issues is the medical staff. When I was at OU, I like guys don't get healthy here. How what
Mhm.
like Gibson tears a knee season.
Yeah.
If Anderson's injury is as bad as that is as it has its bearing out to be, we would have known in August, or we should have known in August. Does that make sense? If Anthony's knee wasn't progressing, we should have known in August. If Burks has a soft tissue injury, I get it. It's vague, right? It's intended, but like no. When you tear if it's a fibula, patella tendon or ACL or
Yeah.
even meniscus. I think there's a kid in the NFL who tore his meniscus and he's out for the season. That's generally like, oh, it's a meniscus injury. It's going to be 6 to 8 weeks. All we were
100%.
told is soft tissue. To me, that means it should be a quicker turnaround, like high ankle sprain, deep thigh bruise, whatever, right? None of these guys get better. I'm hearing that a lot of people are getting second opinions. When Scott Anderson was our head trainer, and Jim
Yeah.
Hillis was the head rehab specialist. Who I happened to spend a ton of time with both of those gentlemen through my career
There
at
you
OU.
go.
Uh, the players trusted. Like we had supreme trust in the staff. They said what was best for us. They put a plan in place for us, and we got guys back playing. There's something going on there. I don't know exactly what it is, but that is also an issue. That is also a problem. And I want to make sure that we kind of synthesize what the hell that could be, because uh it's not small potatoes. If
It's
we
not,
have
man. That's a great
if we have
point.
if we have Burks and Anderson, who knows? Granted, our O line still stinks. You know what I'm saying? But we've got a guy we could throw the fade to in Anderson, and we've got a guy we could throw the quick slant. Like we got a guy who 88. If 88 is Burks instead, but then now 88 is playing in the other's position. We've got pieces moving around. That's depth that we don't have. That's in my opinion, and I'm just speaking in my opinion, Barry. That's on the medical staff. How the hell
Yeah.
does Anderson not come back this season? How the hell does Anthony tear his ACL like week 4 and he's not playing this season? How does Burks
Yeah.
like he if you watch, he's kind of holding his abdomen when he goes off the game against Tennessee. So whatever, right? That's some kind of thing going on in your sternum, whatever. Like, I don't know if that's a all year injury. in a
Mm-mm.
regular team? Did he puncture a lung, or you know what I'm saying? Like, what did he do that was
Nah,
so
he
terrible that
probably
he can't?
had. Well, if he's holding his abdomen, I saw that too. It could have been an abdominal tear, which those suck. But man, at receiver, it's easier to play through it. Well, it's tough to say because you're taking hits. It's really hard as a quarterback to play with an abdominal tear.
But
But
here's the point: if it was an
go for it.
abdominal tear, Barry, if it's an abdominal tear and you know he's not coming back, then you say it's an abdominal tear and he's not coming back, right? Because then the
Yeah,
kid has to deal with all the shenanigans every week. Like if it's a season-ending injury, it's a season-ending injury. If it's not a season-ending injury, gosh dang it, we need to get the guy fixed up. We need a good, proper medical staff to get him back to going. You know, does that make sense? Like
yeah,
if it was
100%.
an
The
abdominal tear
hamstring
and he
thing
can't come
drives
back,
me nuts. The hamstring thing drives me crazy. I do not know how you can have the hamstrings are one of the most easiest things when it comes to like really the kind of fine tuning and conditioning and prepping those suckers and then getting them back. Like, you know what it is. The protocol is like, here's what you do, here's how you address it. It's so simple. You got to follow the recovery stuff, you got to rest, you've got to do. But then in the off season, like, it shouldn't happen again. Like, it's one of those things that maybe when you first arrive to OU and you're not used to the kind of volume and workload that you're going to have, you got some hamstring problems. But man, after a second, come on. Like, you have to be able to fix those kind of situations. And if that's what's going on with Anderson, man, that's such a good point. I didn't even really consider that either. It is a huge problem that the Ohio State can have a guy who has a golly, what did he have? The other, it was a really bad quad injury, and he was back in 2 weeks. That they gave him all the stuff. He probably did some extra things for recovery. Like, come on, man. Yeah, the fact that that is such a major issue and has been now for a little bit is problematic. Who are the I'll say this. I know KD, when Durant was here, he used a lot of the OU doctors, and he had major problems with some of those doctors who did some of the procedures to the point where he ended up going elsewhere. I believe it was a doctor here in Oklahoma who screwed up Andre Robertson's stuff for the Thunder. So
I don't
that's
want
a
to
lot of
belabor
speculation.
it.
Yeah, it is a lot of
I don't want to.
speculation.
All I'm saying is this: you see a white bird and it can't fly, and it's got a yellow beak, and it starts quacking and has webbed feet. It's probably a duck. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's
Ah,
that's probably a duck. Yeah, I'm just telling you, like that's what it is. By the way, Skit the Sky, you're a cute person, bro. I love your personality, man. You trying to troll over here, bro? We ain't got no time for you, dog.
time
Save your
is time.
shenanigans, bro. You're
He
cute.
said
Whatever,
the
whatever you
guy
got
that
to
got
say,
shot in
dog.
the
We don't care, man. You guys are you be happy that you got this little season for us to be figuring it out. You know what I'm saying? But you talking and us talking is not going to change to wins and losses. So you keep saying
Yeah.
what you got to say. I'm gonna keep picking on you too. I don't mind it. You know what I'm saying? I like it. Let's mix it up a little bit. Um, no, but in all seriousness, um, that's problematic. That's an issue. It needs to be addressed. I think we need to also speak to the quarterbacks. You know, you were bringing up Jackson a little earlier, and he played much better today. He did show some. He showed an ability to be a threat with his arm, a threat with his legs, and he was able to make. He had a couple of beautiful throws in this game that I think mattered, and
More
really gave
decisive.
the team a
More
boost,
decisive.
more decisive. But I'm going to say this, and I say this candidly. I don't think there's any player on offense that we need to cater to at the detriment of getting in the right offensive coordinator. I think it
Mm,
would be smart for both Hawkins and Jackson to see what's going to happen and how this season plays out. I think both of them could be great college quarterbacks and could grow into. I don't want to talk about Sunday. Neither one of them have any They don't have any film that suggests they deserve to play on Sunday yet, but they do both have bright futures. I think Hawkins has played worse than his ability the last couple of weeks. I think the scheme. I'm going to say it again and again. Some people don't catch my sarcasm, but both of our quarterbacks suck in this scheme. But I also think Patrick Mahomes would suck in this scheme. Both of our quarterbacks, I would love if one or both stuck around because I think both of those quarterbacks could be great. And I think it's going to require them to be in a brand new situation in order to do so. But the other here's the thing, Barry. Jackson misses too many easy reads and completions. And part of that I imagine, is some of the disarray in the organization that's happening, right? And really, there's no like depth to our scheme. Hey, we're gonna run power, and then we're gonna run lead, and then we're gonna run power pass, and then we're gonna run power boot, and then we're gonna run power. And now we've seen the safeties coming down the box, and instead of running power pass, we're gonna run power pump and throw 1v1. Like those are all very basic concepts you can run in high school. And I don't see us building any of that continuity in any respective game that's working for us. And so he probably isn't getting a good feel for the game himself. But quarterback is a position where we need to see them improve. And I do believe Barry vehemently put in the right position with the right coordinator, with the right scheme, under better conditions. I even think with the same talent. Our
I
receiver
do too.
talent, we would have had one of the best receiver cores in America. There's no one who can get me to think otherwise. We had a damn good group coming back with a lot of versatility, with a lot of size. All right, and a physical crew. Those guys are all hurt. Um, but 88 comes in. I don't know what he runs. By the way, he could be a 4-3 guy for all I know, but he's wide open. Like
Hmm.
on multiple possessions, on multiple route combos. He's running generally in the middle of the field, so he's running a lot of the slot stuff, the things I ran my sophomore and junior year. Over routes, under routes, run where the backers don't, replace blitzers, right? Like again, you find the open area and sit, get big, and get eyes on the football. Um, that tells me other guys have the potential to do that. By the way, it's kind of an indictment on Emmett. Like Emmett's a really good coach, and if there was
Yeah.
one coach to stick, it would probably be him. What I'm saying, he's got a lot of skins and a lot of sway, and he's our most fertile recruiting ground is the Dallas Metro, and he's got a ton of relationships in the area. But I'm like, damn, this buddy is the only guy who knows how to do that. Like you said, you're right. I didn't even see Raggins play today. I don't know if he got any snaps, but I do know that I saw this kid get more open than I've seen more players be in the last month.
Yeah.
And I think that speaks to a lot of his ability. And maybe Coach Jones is teaching it, and he's the only one who's getting it or is able to execute it when
Maybe.
the bullets are flying. Um, but yeah, there's just a lot of things on this offense that tell like I would be like, let me see, how can I say this? If there weren't so many issues that we couldn't pinpoint the number two, the reason I said number two, because the number one issue is offensive line. We said in fall camp the offensive
Hmm.
line at the lowest ceiling. We said in fall camp the group as a unit should be able to sustain. However, against really good defensive lines, they are going to struggle. We said that since fall camp.
Yeah.
And although that was the case, what they're doing is unacceptable. So they are the number one issue. But when you can't put your finger on what's number two, is it the quarterbacks? Is it the injuries? Is it the scheme? Right? Is it the depth of the scheme? Is it in organization? Are guys lost? Like, because there's so many issues that you can't put your finger on, that's coaching. That is the definition of coaching. If kids don't know what, that's like me being the math teacher. Okay, I used to teach math. I used to be a algebra 2 teacher. I used to teach trig. I used to teach econ, right? When I was an educator before I became a principal. I could be the smartest mathematician in the world. Got a degree from Harvard and did my master's at whatever, Cambridge. But if I can't teach 14-year-olds how to do a two-step equation, I suck at teaching. Does that make sense?
Fact.
Even though
100%.
I am a mathematician genius, my job is to teach 14-year-olds two-step equations. If they can't
Yeah.
pass that STAR test or whatever test it is called today, it used to be called the STAR test. If they can't pass
Hmm.
that test, that means I suck as a teacher. And so when there's so many errors, there's so many issues, there's so many struggles, 4 offensive touchdowns in 4 games. SEC, we have 4 SEC games. We've scored one per game, offensive. That's coaching. That's teaching.
Yeah.
That's implementation. It's called a summative assessment, the check for understanding, right? Saturday is the check for understanding. Do you guys understand what we practice all week? Let's check on Saturday. Oh shit, we failed. That's literally the definition. And so, again, how much patronizing and defending did I do coaching the first 3 or 4 weeks of the season? I was like, hey guys, we got to check, quarterback issue, right? We got
Tough
offensive
time.
lineman hurt, right? Guys, it is what it is. I'm not gonna lie. When the truth is the truth, we suck at coaching on the offensive side of the ball. That starts with Seth. That starts with Coach BV. The implementation starts with Seth, and there's a whole bunch of OU legacy guys that got to hold that. Y'all got to hold that, man. And don't get mad at me for telling the truth. Damn it, you watching the film. Y'all know we watch film just like y'all watch film. They taught us how to watch film when we were 18, just like they taught you guys how to watch film when you guys were freshmen coming in too. I don't watch as much film as you guys, but I don't need to. I don't need to watch a ton of film to see what the hell I see. We can't even block a 5-man stunt. We got a tight end schemed up to block their D end in the third quarter when it killed us in the first quarter. Is that
Yeah.
the kids or is that coaching? It's a little
That's
bit of both.
coaching. Man, I saw somebody bringing up just beating Bo and being the trying to hold on to him for sake of the recruits. And I'll say this, man, the reason that nobody has been critical or he's been the guy pushed out, the quote on Twitter is called Teflon Bill. That's what everybody says. Just nothing sticks to him. I would argue, and if you go back and listen to Gabe and Teddy's pods in 20, 21, 22 was kind of everybody, but 23, one of the consistent things they brought up, one of the things they brought up in 20 was why Creed Humphrey regressed the entire year. 20 was Creed's worst year in terms of his what he was capable of.
Relativity to
Everybody's
his top.
yeah, yeah, and then he goes to the Chiefs and he's the best center in the NFL almost immediately, right? Anton Harrison is an absolute killer. Wanye Morris has been really good, but very solid in the pros. All of these guys grossly underachieved. They didn't buy in. That won't say underachieved because they made it to the NFL. Anton was a first round draft pick, but relative to who they could have been as a collegiate player, the criticism on Anton Harrison was that he was really good and very talented. Why is he still having mental gaps? Why is he still having issues from time to time? And yeah, nobody's perfect, but there was still something amiss. And it seems as if there is a disconnect in getting guys to buy in, getting guys to want to show up on a regular basis. And that this isn't to belabor the point, but I think it goes without saying that if you are not performing well on a week to week basis, and you are Oklahoma, who you're right, they're not devoid of talent, right? There are some players on Oklahoma's team on the offensive side of the ball who would and could have success at other places. They were recruited by big time programs because they are good players. Does that just everyone was a miss? Was every player a miss? I highly doubt that. So the structure of how you're doing things, the structure of what you're doing week in and week out, your ability to get guys to buy in, I think there's an overhaul that you've got to have, right? D-Mac had a question, and I think we've kind of touched on it. Sooner Legends Pod that hit us with the super chat. Just where do you go from here? I will say this: you saw a lot of young guys playing today. I said that I don't know how on earth Bauer Sharp can miss these blocks and not catch passes, and then a guy like Devon Mitchell, who at this time I've seen the way he looks now, he looks ready to play. Now, looking ready and being ready are certainly two different things, but Devon Mitchell was wanted by every program in the country at tight end. He is Jermaine Gresham level potential, right? In terms of his ability to have an immediate impact. He's a guy who I have seen personally up close play and is one of the best looking big pass catchers who has come around in for a minute. And the fact that a guy like Sharp and Roberts can continue to play, And you finally saw Helms out there today, 18, who got a few snaps. But the fact that a guy like Devon Mitchell cannot touch the field is crazy to me. And here's the other piece. I would give you the benefit of the doubt if the running back rotation wasn't the same exact thing. Where everybody's like, well, he's not playing because of this and that. I just don't buy it. Right? You got Spencer Brown coming in at right tackle. I don't buy it. 88 saw his first snaps today. I don't buy it. Right? Physically, he may have been behind when he arrived. He definitely has some baby fat on his frame. He needed to get stronger. You could tell those things, but man, he is superbly athletic. And why
You
is
talking about
it
88?
that
You talking about 88?
no,
Or
I'm
you
talking
talking about the
about
tight end?
Devon
Talking
Mitchell.
about the
I'm talking
tight end.
about tight end Devon Mitchell. But why is it guys, freshmen can go to Ohio State, be immediate impact guys, right? That number 4 who plays receiver for Ohio State,
Oh
he's
yeah.
not Ryan Williams good, but he's really good. You go to Alabama, same.
Both of them. Yeah, that's a 1 and 1A, bro. That's an X and a Z. That's
You think
Jamar
he's
Chase
as good
and
as
Justin
Ryan? You
Jefferson.
think he's as good as
That's
Brian
Chase
Williams?
and Jefferson, bro.
I don't think
Williams
he's as good as Brian Williams
Williams from
from
Alabama
Alabama.
is Chase, and the other kid, I think his name's Williams too, or whatever his name is. He's
Yes, his
Jefferson,
last
bro.
name is Williams. I just know he's
Bro,
number 4. Man, he
bro,
is.
do
Oh,
not sleep on other buddy. And I don't want to sit here and talk too much about those other guys. But I will say this: the reason those guys
go
can
ahead.
come in and be successful because there's a very clear system in place, and they are asked to do exactly what they are asked to do, and so they know how to practice what they need to practice. I don't think anybody at OU knows what to do. Some Sooner Legends asked a question. I do
Yeah.
have
So
some.
where do they go?
I have some
Where do they
thoughts.
go from
So
here?
I have our 5 biggest issues with our 5 biggest solutions. This is actually so Barry, you don't know this, but my 10 thoughts today, I didn't do position groups. I did our 5 biggest issues and then my solutions to those
Okay.
5 biggest issues. I'm not going to read the entire article. You got to go to OU Insider to check it out, but I will tell you what the issues are.
Hey, good plug. Good plug.
Biggest issue. I know I never plug, right? I just whatever. But the biggest issue, guys, the offensive line is the biggest issue. The end. It's the biggest issue. If we fix our offensive line, we're a 7-5 team. It is what it is. I don't know how to fix it. We got the guys we got, and they're all healthy now, so there isn't any excuse. But I do believe this is a situation we got to play the pups. This is a game where you have to recruit your current players every year, and if the rumors are true and the younger guys are more talented than the older guys, I mean, Brown's a guy who you can't tell me there isn't people more talented than him. You got to recruit them in the season. The easiest way to recruit them during the season is to play them. The easiest way to play them is to condense and consolidate the playbook. All right. So if I am Seth and my job is on the line and I say, okay, I'm probably fired today if the season ends. What can I do to keep this is just me. This is how Mackey would approach it. I would say, number one, I'm going to play the freshman. But in order to play the freshman, I got to have plays that they feel comfortable doing, which means I probably need to consolidate some plays and get good at 3, 4, 5, or 6 concepts, right? But at minimum, I'm going to re-recruit these guys by building trust in them, inviting them to my office, telling them I believe in them, putting them in ways to be successful, and getting them a chance to play in the game. Issue number one is our offensive line. Issue number two is our offense. So once
The
you
whole
get
thing.
past once you get past the offensive line, issue number two is the offense itself in any capacity, the scheme, the players, you name it. I mean, what did I say here? I said sheesh, the offense, it's terrible. Hodgepodge of plays, no concepts, grasping at straws, hopes and dreams. It's disgusting to watch. The offense is, I literally cringe watching our offense. It was a little bit better. The same way it was a little bit better watching Hawk against Tennessee. It was a little bit better watching JFA versus South Carolina today. But that's problematic. Both of our quarterbacks have equally looked decent and equally looked terrible in this scheme. That is coaching. That is preparation. That is the fundamentals. That's not, oh, he missed the curl. Oh, he consistently overthrows the hook. Like, our guys don't know what to do. Solution to that: burn it down. BV needs to be told today they ain't staying. He needs to know ASAP. OU needs to be on Indiana, Vanderbilt. OU needs to be on, I'm telling you, like, they need to be, hey, Georgia's quarterback coach, right? The Bowers, one of the Dabowers, one of his disciples. We need to be on
Mhm.
that now. Yeah, we got a season to play, but OU plays for ships. If we're not playing for the ship, we're damn sure not playing for 8-4. Gary Gibbs got fired going 8-4. So right now, Joe C needs to say to BV, like, hey man, yo, let's go to a bowl game. Okay. We're not banking it in, or we're not gonna be able to play in January. However, pick your 1 or 2 favorites. Because I'm gonna pick my favorite for the BOC. And when that guy comes in here, he's going to come here like a Leach. He's going to come in here like a Wilson, prepared to, like a Lincoln Riley, right? One of those 3 guys who come in here prepared. They have their stuff. I'm going to take that side of the ball off of your plate. Be the CEO. Be kiss babies and shake hands and make sure the defense is a mother. I'm a cuss. Make sure the defense is a motherfucker. I'll take care of the offense. By the way, if we don't pick it up next year, it's going to be problematic for you. That conversation has to happen this week. BV has to start having hard conversations with his position coaches this week. It is an
Yeah.
abomination. Problem number 2, solution is to take it head on. Issue number 3, our old players regress. Right? We got All Americans. They're not even just playing as good as they played last year. They are playing worse.
Yeah.
That's problematic. You got the quarterback playing worse than last year, the middle backer playing worse than last year, the free safety, my goodness, he's not even going to be honorable mention nothing this year, right?
Teflon Billy.
We got we got another first round draft pick offensive lineman. Again, I don't mean, look, I'm just being mean today. Sexton's kind of Suxton, like he changed his name to SUX instead of SCX, because like, I don't know, son, you're getting your tail whipped today too. You're getting your tail whipped today, right? Again, that's culture. That's identity, right? That's not X's and O's. Those dudes don't just all of a sudden learn how to suck or learn how to regress. I don't like to say suck so much. All right. What do we got to do about that? Right. Um, we gotta let the young guys play. We gotta let the young old linemen, they gotta play. Their young running back has to play.
Yeah.
Uh,
Didn't
uh,
Hicks got some snaps out there today? Saw
he
saw him
fumbled one
play.
time. He had a nice little run and he
Yeah.
fumbled it. He had a nice run and then they took him out. Like Barnes is already hurt on this possession. Hicks has a nice run, right? Like chemistry says, let Hicks have this possession and see what he's got. They literally take him
Yeah.
out. They put Barnes back in. He runs right into the back of somebody, which
They,
could have been
yeah.
another play that Hicks could have got, and we could have seen what Hicks could have did with
100%.
that same play. And then the next possession, Hicks is in again and he fumbles. He got it back or something, I believe. But yeah,
But
they're
Barnes
gonna.
fumbled the ball too.
He did. He
Barnes
definitely
put
did.
the ball on the ground
He
too.
definitely
So it's
did.
like,
He definitely did.
anyways, continue.
He definitely did. You
But
got to
you're
play
right.
the young guy.
Yeah, got to play the younger. Akinkumi, EPL.
Here's the big thing with that, though, bro. BV has to go and re-recruit all of the offensive guys and says, "Hey, here's the deal. We're cleaning shop, but this is the plan." He's got to do it. For all the people that are saying, if we lose, beat him, Bo, we lose. We might lose whoever we're going to lose. But if we bring in the number 1 O-line coach in America, he might bring 5 guys with him. And he might bring 2 portal guys with him. And he might bring, right? Like, we can't just be concerned about what little, thing we have because it ain't working. Now,
Yeah.
this will probably be Beaton Bo's best offensive haul on the offensive line in 4 or 5 years. So I get that part. You don't want to just throw the baby out with the bathwater on that part, because that would be a detriment if you don't have a clear plan in place. All right. But
Yeah.
we also can't go 5-7. Be like, we're going 5-7, but we're gonna. Do you think those same recruits, when it come to OU for 5-7, we might lose them
Hell no.
anyway, right? So that youth movement also requires. That's why Joe C has to go tell Coach BV now, because Coach BV has to go re-recruit those players. Continuity on
Hmm.
defense. Your favorite coach, I'm going to keep 1 or 2, but we're coming in with this scheme, and this is how it's going to work, and this is what it's going to do. We have to start campaigning, guys. The game is about monetization and economics and marketing. We have got to market that sooner rather than later. I talk about the medical staff. We already brushed that one up. That's another issue for me. It's an issue for me. The medical staff is an issue. There shouldn't be so many smoke and mirrors and so much mixed language. Guys should either be hurt. When I was at OU, you were out a couple weeks. They were going to be out mid-season, Well, they were out for the season. Like the Farouk one is the one that, right? Like that's the one, like, hey, he's gonna make 6 to 8 weeks. Okay, we can expect him back around South Carolina. Maybe he comes back in a week or two. Maybe he redshirts. Maybe he's on strike. Somebody said the receivers are on strike. I don't know, but at least we had a clear picture. All these, like, what's the story with Anderson? Somebody knows the answer. Buddy did not have a season-ending injury in August.
No.
Neither did Anthony. Neither did Burks in Tennessee. But yet it feels like all these injuries are season ending and no one can tell us a straight story and there's no rhyme or reason what the hell is going on. That's problematic. Last but not least, guys, is the economics. OU has to figure out a way to play the game at a blue blood level, period. I made a joke and said, Barry, I said, hey, all the money we're using to spend on the compliance team needs to all be reallocated to marketing, to personnel, and to a gray area department. We need a department that learns how to play within the gray area of the current landscape of college football today, because everybody else has a department. Ohio State has one, Oregon has one. They got folk who know just enough to stay below the mark of getting in trouble, and we have a compliance department that's kicking our ass. Our compliance department needs to be one person. He needs to be a Sooner legacy. His dad needs to have played at OU. He needs to live in Norman. He needs to love OU, and he needs to be one person. That's what our compliance department needs to be. All the rest of that money needs
Basically, oh, you got arrested. You're good, brother. It's all good, man.
go.
Hey, do you
What
feel
do
like
you
you learned,
mean?
you learned your
That
lesson? Okay,
damn it.
sweet.
That's the compliance department. You damn right. That needs to be the compliance
I mean,
department.
say what you want about Stoops. Like, if the player got in trouble in the offseason, I remember he was out. What he was out against Akron, so it sat for Akron.
Hey, we're gonna pick the game they missing. No, but in all seriousness, um, OU has to be ready to play. I heard we're gonna be spending $5-10 million this year. Whatever the case may be, it sucks, right? Unfortunately, college football has turned into get the best players money can buy, unfortunately, but it's
Mhm.
the game they're playing. Ohio State is willing to play it. Oregon's willing to play it. Georgia and Bama, they have even turned the corner, right? Saban said, "I'm out of here because I don't want to play it." DeBoer is like,
Yes.
"Cool, I'm in the game. Let's play it." And Bama's big money donors are like, "Okay, that's what we got to do to play. We're going to play ball." Right? OU has to make a decision. Do we still want to be a blue blood? Is Joe C the athletic director who wants to play that game? Or maybe this is like a Saban situation where Joe C is like, hey man, this is beyond my years. I don't want to do this. And Joe C maybe has to do what's best for the program, best for the university. And I'm just hypothetically speaking. I'm Joe C. I'm sure he wants to do everything he can to make sure we win. But like that's a question we have to fundamentally sit down and say, why are we shooting ourselves in the foot with a compliance department that has like 10 people? Why the hell do we have a self-governing compliance department based upon something Red Beaumont and those guys did like 18 years ago?
Over
That's
two
like,
decades ago.
yeah,
Two
bro.
decades
Like, what are we
ago.
talking about? Fire those people, reallocate those people. You know what I'm saying? Like, we are self-governing ourselves in a way that no other school does. That's stupid to me. Reallocate those funds, put ourselves in a position to play the game in the way what was cheating 5 years ago is not cheating anymore. It is fair
No.
game, a part of the rules, right? Texas has a coalition called like the Five Uglies or something like that. They literally get like $5 to $10 million every year just for offensive linemen. That's how they stole Banks from us in the last second, two cycles ago. I have firsthand knowledge
Mm,
from an individual that told me Banks is coming to OU if this hogs, they got something called the something hogs that UT does. It's legal. They have a coalition of folk that say, hey man, we're gonna make sure every year Texas O line is killer because they O line was trash for a decade. They didn't have a first round
yeah,
draft pick for like 13 years in a row,
they're taking
right?
care of them. Yeah.
NIL allows you to now play the game in that fashion. Those guys are taking advantage of that. If OU is not willing to play at that level, guys, there you go. We're going to go back to what I said at the beginning. This will be the last thing I say, and I'll let you have it. We're going to go right
Yep.
back to what I said. It's going to be that meme of Grandpa Simpson sitting on that hill telling everybody how good he was and what he did in yesteryear. I can do that. Guys, I have a salt and pepper beard. The last time OU won a national championship, I had a head full of hair. The last time OU won a national championship, Josh Heupel was not 240. Last time OU won.
God dang, T-Mac.
What?
That's just
It's the
you're
truth.
it's the truth.
Yeah, damn it. I'll text Hype right
That's
after this call and
hilarious.
say, Hype, you need to lose some weight, bro. I'm gonna text him and tell him.
That's
By the
funny,
way,
man.
I'm about to go visit his team. I'm getting ready to go. I bet you I'll be invited into Hype's locker room faster than I'm invited into OU's locker room. I don't think there'll be too many people
Mm,
inviting me on campus anytime soon. But the truth is the truth, and I want to win football
yeah.
games, and that's is what it is. So anyway, 5
Yeah.
solutions that I think can help us. Um, we've got to figure out who we want to be quickly. I think the offense identity is the biggest thing. And I actually think it's fixable. I still believe we can fix that. Not necessarily this season. This season, we got 3 losses. It's already a wrap. But I think it's something where it's not the sky is falling in terms of this whole regime of coaching. If BV can find a Leach, a Wilson, a Lincoln Riley, like Bob did on 3 separate occasions, guys. Bob did it 3 times. If he can do that, I think we will still be okay.
How possible is it, do you think, for him to go get Mike Shanahan at Indiana?
How possible?
Yeah. Do you
I think
think
it's a
that
win-win.
is a doable move? Because to me, I know a lot of people have brought up the other gent. Oh my gosh, what's his name escapes me. But man, what Signetti and his staff is doing in Indiana right now. When you watch them play football and you talk offensive football, that's a plan. And does Indiana have better players than Oklahoma?
Did they just beat Nebraska 49-7 today? Is that what I saw?
Yeah.
30, 42
Yeah.
to 7.
That
They beat them by 35.
they're legit.
Oh, for sure.
They're they're legit. Defensively, they're solid, but offensively, players are going to want to go play there. If I was a Dion Burks, and that was, they were paying OU level NIL, that's a place you look at going, because
So
you're
pause.
gonna Dion Burks would be 1,000-yard receiver in Indiana this year.
So you just answered your question. If OU can't open up the wallet to take a guy from Indiana, also ran third tier Big Ten school, right? By the way, somebody asked me this on OU Insider too. They were asking about OCs. I said, guys, this is the perfect scenario for an OC. Think about it. You're a badass OC. You're Lincoln Riley. You're Kevin Wilson. You're Mike Leach. All 3 scenarios, you know what they all had in common? Defensive minded coach. Check. He's gonna leave me alone. He's gonna let me run my stuff because he's not an expert in that space. He's bringing me in. You know what else? But all 3 were able to do fix a sieve of an offense,
Mm,
right? Leach comes in behind Joe Dickinson. Lincoln Riley comes in after my quarterback, right? Wilson comes in after Chuck Long and that offense gotten stagnant, right? So they get to say, I'm the reason things turned around. And then we just need to
yeah.
be honest as OU, and they need to be honest as the individual coming in saying, hey, this is a stepping stone for me. I want to be here 2 to 3 years. I'm going to teach you guys the insides and outs of my joint. We need to create an heir apparent, right? BV needs to identify someone who he trusts, knows, and is very intelligent, who can learn the fundamentals, the bones of the framework of that offense. And in 3 years, that offense, that OC gets to say, right, I came here and I killed it. BV gets to start his coaching tree, people who coached for him, who have turned into head coaches, right? And Oklahoma gets back to winning football games. I honestly believe, listen, everyone's crying, but guys, go watch Miami the last 2 years versus this year.
Yeah.
Go watch Washington 4 and 5 years ago versus 2 and 3 years ago when they had Pettis. Go watch Indiana, right? Like, guys, go watch LSU. You can turn it around in a season with the right quarterback, the right OC, and the right head coach. That's what you need. You
Well,
need a quarterback.
just look at yeah, just look at Alabama from last year to this year. You said that from just Saban had them explosive, but you were right. You said that early on. It's a different type of explosiveness that they've got with DeBoer.
Yeah, but they play like ass cheeks now, though. They got beat today.
Yeah.
Hype got that behind today. Which
Yeah.
somebody asked me would Hype come back. Hype ain't coming back. That is
Ain't coming
unless,
back.
unless they offered him the head coaching job and said I'm sorry. Hype ain't. And by the way, he hasn't told me that, but
Interesting.
I kind of know my QB. He's a hard
Sure.
ass. I don't think Hype would come back.
I see the Joe Brady stuff, guys. This is one of the weird things that I know somebody personally who's got some Joe Brady ties. Joe Brady hates recruiting, wants nothing to do with it whatsoever, does not enjoy it. He would not be a fit for what Venables wants to do from a recruiting standpoint. It just would not work. I did see
There,
Jeff Traylor come on. Go
there's
ahead.
some like there's like some podcasts and some Hall of Famer folks beefing in the content in the comments. Guys,
It's great.
they're like having a whole like argument in the comments. My bad. I just
Yeah.
peeped that. Go ahead. My bad. I
No, it's
interrupted you. Go ahead.
wonderful. No, man, it's wonderful. I think the reason for Shanahan and just with what OU wants to do and needs to be able to do in the SEC, going and getting an air raid guy would probably also not be a bad situation. But Indiana has such a well thought out run game, a well thought out pass game. They with the amount of it's also just appealing because they rotate guys so well. There's not it reminds me a little bit of how you guys did do it in 2000 in terms of like they don't really rely on you like Riley did with a CD Lamb, right? CD was the hoss. He's going to have to get 12, 1,300 yards for this offense to go. D.D. Westbrook, he needs 12, 1,300 yards. They're doing it more by committee, not just at receiver, but also at running back. I think there's a lot to be said for having a guy who knows exactly what he wants, who can make the coaching point simple and say, here's what I want your group to be able to do. I said this 2 pods ago or a pod ago. This is what your group needs to be able to do. Let's manufacture this and make it happen and go out and have success. And you're right. Miami flipped it in a season or two, I guess.
One.
It's one. Yeah. Yeah. They were the 1 year. And somebody brought,
Cam
you
Ward went
guys
from Wazoo to Miami, and they're 7-0.
7-0. And it's just right now, it does not look like anything. It feels a little bit like Mike Stoops in 2018 when they move him off the sideline into the booth. You got Joe John going up into the booth today. It's like just the whole thing doesn't feel good. It feels like things are going to happen and like there's no cohesion. It makes you wonder about the internal stuff where did feelings get hurt when Seth got promoted to OC, when Beatonbow and DeMarco had been there with skins on the wall, and like it's I'm not saying that stuff is true, but we said it last, post game when the offense struggled against Texas. Do you just have too much dissension in that room and too many minds wanting to do different things? And that doesn't create for cohesiveness and success. Everybody's got to row the boat in the same direction, even if it's not the right direction. If everybody's rowing and everybody's rowing together, you're gonna do something, right? The offense with the Cody Thomas, and this is what I'll end fans with today because I want to get to this. The Cody Thomas offense was better than this.
the Brandon
2014.
the Brandon Daniels 1998 offense was better. The Eric
Yeah.
Moore 1998 offense. The Patrick Fletcher, the Gerard
Gee.
Reese. I think we have 5 starting. Jake Seals. We have 5 starting quarterbacks in '98. We have Brandon Daniels. We have Patrick Fletcher. We had Jake Seals. We had Jared Reese. We had Eric Moore. All 5 played quarterback
Blast
in
from the
one
past.
season.
Yeah, let's Sooner Nation. We'll end it on this note. I don't think there's a whole lot to say about the defense. The last time OU was this bad, we are talking pre DMAC seeing the field. We're talking about DMAC watching from the sideline, rehabbing an ACL, right? There's no pepper gray in the beard, right? He's
I didn't
still
have a beard yet.
last time
I
OU
didn't
was
have a
this
beard.
bad. You didn't have a beard in '98.
I didn't
Okay,
have a beard in
last
'98.
time OU was this bad, Damian was still a defensive back.
I
That
was.
There you go.
I was.
So
36, baby.
it,
I was rocking 36 that season.
last
Ugly ass
question,
number.
and this is I got one more thing. The announcer was just going in today. The guy doing color was going in on OU doing slide protections and them
Oh yeah.
relying on it so heavily. Give fan, he never. This is why people come to this podcast, and maybe we'll talk about it more in depth. And I'll pull up some of the film in our kind of our membership one. And guys, if you aren't members, $2.99, go over there, join a membership. We'll show some film with what we're talking about. But talk about why he was maybe bringing that up so heavily, and why he was calling it out like it was JV type lack of preparation stuff. Talk
Well,
about why that is the case, or what's going on there.
what he was alluding to is our scheme. Well, is South Carolina's fronts to dictate who on our offensive scheme was going to be blocking who on their defensive line. And I think so I'm trying to make that elementary so people can see, know, and understand like the way they were lining up were putting us in a position where if we were going to run any type of drop back, we were going to put that last man on the line of scrimmage, and we wanted to keep Bauer Sharp in because we wanted to have 6-on-4 versus 5-on-4, right? Bigs, right? You consider an inline tight end a big. But what it was doing was putting us in a position where the tight end was going to be being uh it depends on what kind of jargon you want to use, but essentially having to zone up on that guy. And guess what happens if that guy just comes off the edge? He's your man. And guess what the tackle is taught to do? Eyes inside to see for somebody coming, which mans you up 1v1. And so it was interesting to me what he was talking about in the sense of um, slide protection was a real defense killer, zone blitz killer in the 2000s and even the 2010s, right? It was a great way to pick up the zone blitz. But now what defenses are doing are turning it into a matchup man 1v1. Say, okay, you want to leave your tight end, and he better be a mother sucker, because if he's not, he's going to be going against my All-American DN. He's going to be going against my All-American 3 technique, right? And so yeah, I think the reason they continue to make fun of it is because we continue to do it. And what that tells you is we don't
Yeah.
have versatility, right? One of my offensive linemen, who's now an old man, we had a group text. Half of the group is saying it's all the players' fault. The other half is like, oh no, dog. The coach has got to hold, they got to hold some of this guy on my team. I'm not gonna say his name because he probably doesn't want me to, but he was like, guys, what they were doing to us is a very easy fix. You can either slide or you can have the uncovered. And a lot of those, they were in a 2Y, which means our center was uncovered. A center can satellite and help. And it gives a quarterback a natural place to step up into the pocket. And when you have a center satellite, which means a center might look to the zone side and go inside out, right? And if that short
Mm-hmm.
corner end is coming off that edge, the center can help push him. He'll wash him out of the play. There's only one place the running back can block, and that's up the A gap. So if they bring A gap pressure, the running back has a very simple block up the A gap. The quarterback can leak to the opposite way, and there's a huge pocket. It creates a natural pocket. And
Yeah,
my
and the
offensive
running back
lineman,
now doesn't have to block so long or so
correct.
effectively.
All you have to do is glance, and the quarterback can go opposite the glance, right? So if that
Got
guy
it.
comes A gap, you just need to get the play side shoulder and force him to the same way that the center satellites creates a natural pocket naturally to the right of that. And my point is, it's a changeup. And if you do
Mm-hmm.
that, then the defense won't consistently put you in the same front, which consistently puts your tight end in compromising situation, which everybody now like doesn't like 10, but in reality, guess what it is? Coaching.
Interesting. DMAC, wonderful stuff. Well, we'll go into that. I also want to talk about that he was bringing up OU going gap scheme instead of zone, which we
How
were
long ago did I
talking
say
about.
that?
Well, and we said so. Luttrell at North Texas and at North Carolina ran a lot of gap scheme. So, but who the person who ran inside zone was Levy, was inside outside zone. That
100%.
that is a Baylor 2014 old. That's a staple. The difference between like Ole Miss runs it well. OU has struggled to run it, coach it. But he kept bringing up OU switching to more of a gap scheme, how Alabama leveraged that to win against South Carolina, even
Yeah.
though it was a hard fought game. And South Carolina is not a bad football team. It should have never been 21-0. This is a game that should have been winnable for Oklahoma, or at the very least in it in the fourth quarter. So that's problematic. But what is not problematic is the decision to go over to ouinsider.com and to grab yourself a membership. Guys, they're doing a wonderful job. As I said earlier, even amidst the indifference of the fan base, we say it on this podcast a few pods ago or years ago when OU had their just BV had a rough first start to the year. Anger from the fan base, DMAC is not bad for the show views, but what is bad is indifference. When indifference sets in, I'm talking about the fan who, when OU was down 21-0, they just left their hot dog in the chair, got up and left. And they were like, I've seen enough of this. There was a little too much of that, and that is not good. So I know a lot of people, though, just diehards, going to continue to support, watch every game, go to the games, and keep doing that. That's important to the players. As we're talking about, this isn't all on the players. They obviously shoulder some blame, but this feels like it's an issue that runs deeper than just Jackson's a bad quarterback or Hawkinson's a bad quarterback or, the Javante Barnes can't, maybe on Barnes, but OU has some directions they can go. But if you want to know all the insides, all the stuff going on during the week in terms of injuries, who's ready, who's not, who's likely to be questionable, who's likely to be out. They've been on the Deion Burke stuff, Nick Anderson stuff for a long time, and got some interesting info in terms of some 2026 defensive guys up there, right? OU had some visits from some players. So if you want to check that out, just find out all the intel. Guys, go to ouinsider.com, and we're going to be doing more film room stuff. A lot of people have compared our show that we do there to the In the Weeds thing that Teddy and Gabe do. And maybe it is a little similar, but we try to shake it up a little with how we do it, the Barry and Mack show flair. And guys, I titled
Teddy
this
and Gabe
show.
are boss, though. Teddy and Gabe are boss. Those guys kick
100%.
ass.
They do a wonderful job.
Yeah.
Wonderful job. So we try to differentiate a little bit, but I knew this show was not going to be a traditional show. This was going to be almost no sunshine pumping. That's why it was the Barry and Mack show after dark, because that offense made you want to turn the lights off, man. So D-Mac, closing words before we get out of here, brother.
Man, we ain't even November yet, bro. We ain't even to Halloween yet. You know what? I look at this season and I say, okay, what can we make of it? What can we get out of it? In business, I always think about my business from a growth lens. So how can we grow? What are some areas we can improve? What are some things that we can hang our hat on, or at least use as a glimmer of I don't like to use the word hope, but just like progress, I guess is a better word.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm just curious to see our offensive line. We consistently put them in situations where we know they can't succeed, and I'm interested to see what we're going to do about that. We got this new receiver. I'm interested to see about that. We know Jackson Arnold makes a reappearance and does some good things. I'm interested to see about that. Right. I'm seeing some puppies come in, BV's guys, right, on defense. Right. You see Eli Bowen coming in. 20 had a pretty good game. 34 is making progress, right? 0 comes in and makes some plays. 65 is going to be a dog. He's going to be an all-conference player in another year or two. So I'm
NFL
seeing like,
football player right there.
oh, 100%. So I'm seeing like, what's the makeup of what this team's going to be. It's not fun to have a season like this, especially 2 out of 3 seasons with BV where we're going to lose more than we win. I don't pick L's. I say that on the show. If you watch our show, I don't pick L's. Guys, we're not good enough to beat any of the teams left on the schedule aside from Maine today. If the offensive unit doesn't find an identity, we're not. LSU is dynamic on offense. Ole Miss is a dynamic on offense. Alabama is too good on both sides of the football. All right, like those teams, and they got a point to prove. We're the new kid on the block in the conference. They want to show us we can't compete. All right. And so I look at our team and I say, this is going to be interesting to see, this last third of the season. What is Coach V going to do to show everybody that he, is helping move the program in the right direction? Those are the kind of things that I'm paying attention to. I'm not looking at his Barnes missing the hole anymore. I'm not looking at his 13 dropping a ball that he shouldn't have dropped, which he dropped 2 today, 10 dropped 2 today. Okay, clearly I'm still looking at it, but like I'm not right. Those aren't those
We'll
aren't
do that in the other show.
I really am just focused on seeing how is this team going to come together and get to the last third of the season without quitting, all right, without cancer, without the recruiting train falling off the hinges, without coaches, I don't know, just basically quitting mid-season. Um, I can tell you guys right now, folks is gonna lose their jobs. Period. You don't have a season like this and don't expect otherwise. But it will be good to see show OU show some resilience. See the team come together, and it'll be continue to be good to see youth. I think if anything, if nothing else, excuse me, I want to see the young guys come out and have a chance to go out there, be successful. We didn't even talk about Kanik at Cheetah,
He
but it was all
so did he play that he
he
looked
played
the
Cheetah.
best he's looked. I know what I'm saying is did 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 he do some good things? It looked like he did a few good things today.
No, he played. I mean, he was put in a position to be the overhang and either
Yeah,
buzz the flats. He only buzzed the flats, carried or blitzed, which is beautiful,
yeah.
right? That's an easy thing for him to do.
Yeah, it seemed like he
Um,
was not lost in decision making, I guess
he
is my
had to
biggest point.
buzz the flats, blitz or carry. Like that was his responsibilities. Chase ball. If ball ran away, chase the ball. Play side, buzz flats, blitz or carry the seam, some second level route. It made
Which
life easy for him. By the way, that's
That's
smart.
what
I
you
think
get.
it's smart.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
when you got a DC with direction where you can
yeah.
take a guy like Kanik and say, you know what, maybe we can use him in
Hmm.
a. He also looks like he's leaned up a little bit. It makes me wonder if maybe that is the plan with him and just say, you know what, we're not going to play you a lot this year, but we see where you could be in 1 to 2 years. Let's spend this year and see. He looks like he's about 6 to 7 pounds lighter in the like. He looks like he's lost some weight. The just in terms of the build and how he's moving, it,
He
it,
might have
it
just
feels
lost
too
weight.
obvious.
He might have lost some weight sitting on the bench. I don't know.
Golly, man. That's like the fourth, like, incredibly wrong comments. Now, Hype's 240. Kinnick losing weight, sitting on the bench. I said,
Hey, the truth.
Bauer Sharp is 10 tonight. That's what
Let me get to bed. It's late, man. I appreciate you
yeah,
guys.
man.
Those of you who stuck
Yeah.
around to the end, man. Salute. I didn't even know how the hell this was
Salute.
gonna go. Salute to you guys. Appreciate you guys for everything. Barry, it's always a pleasure. I want to get back to X's and O's. I want to nerd out, but there's nothing to nerd out where you just get your ass kicked. Like there's nothing. There's
Yeah.
nothing to really look at. I'm gonna watch the game again actually, here in a second, just to kind of see if I can
Yeah.
get some X's and O's. Let's jump on some film. Teach me how to do the stuff on the screen. If I can do the stuff on the screen, it's gonna be game over. Teach me how to
Yeah,
do that.
I got the we've got a fix for that.
Just tell me
Well,
what to
on
buy. I'll
stream,
buy
so
it.
yeah, yeah,
Just
yeah.
tell me
Yeah,
what to buy and I'll
it's
buy it.
within the app. I'll show it to you.
Okay, perfect.
We got it's with I didn't know it was within what we're using, so we haven't used this program. This is giving the people the inside baseball. We switched to basically the platform we use now. Let you guys get the live show, let you get the download. Where we're advancing in the tech space, so we're gonna have some
Not me, him.
telestration for DMAC, man. So we're working on it. No, man, any Gorilla Nuts players besides 65 and
88,
88? 88. Yep.
88 for
88 with
sure.
the Gorilla Nuts.
For sure, 88.
65, of course.
Yeah, 65 play well.
Mechanic also has some good special teams
No,
plays
ain't
today.
no that ain't no. Listen, we
Ain't
ain't
no
doing no
Gorilla Nuts.
sympathy gorilla. Ain't no sympathy gorilla nuts, bro. We ain't
Hey,
doing that. He didn't do.
yeah, well, I'll save that one for the X's and O's. Awesome, man. Well, as always, want to thank you guys for hopping on. DMAC, been real. Sooner Nation, make sure you go follow us on social. Twitter is at Barry Mac SHW. Follow DMAC at D_Mac13. Follow me at BWise Fitness, at letter BWISE Fitness. And find Damian over on Instagram at Dame That Dude. And while you're at it, go follow Drum, Parker, OU Insider, the whole nine. 88. Man, it's
No, I'm
glorious
laughing at
tonight,
the
man.
Barnes, bro.
Oh,
He
the
said
Barnes thing.
I'm getting out of here. I'm out of here. Good night, guys. Have a
Guys,
good
thank
night.
y'all. See ya.